All right, wow, here we are. That's good.
Jane Livingston. She is an independent curator. She is a writer. She is an arts advocate. She wrote the definitive catalogue raisonné of Richard Diebenkorn. She is a friend and a resident of Virginia, and she's going to come here on Sunday and speak with some of the artists who are part of this exhibition, Slow Image.
The exhibition is wonderful in its diversity and in its accessibility to really everybody. It's interesting to me that because of Melissa's eye, and just probably on an unconscious level, you've brought together artists who very directly relate to each other. But the energy in this space is very feminine. It's very female. It's very sort of borderless, interweaving female energy that really resonates between and among all these artists, which is fascinating to me. And Melissa, let's face it, that your energy and your sort of sense of where things, the direction of your creativity comes from very deeply physical, embodied imagery. I feel more confident making these big generalizations now because I've seen so much, and because my early career was so much in a patriarchal culture. I think that's made me more sensitive. But as I think back to the women artists that I've known and worked with throughout these years, there is some, it's not good to generalize, but a female, I'm much more eager and ready and able now than ever to recognize a work of art as by a man or by a woman. Then that is a strange, I sort of test myself on that.
Was that kind of taboo at one point?
Yes. The issue of women or female artists is an interesting one. I was someone who was very against having even a museum for women in the arts. Billie Holiday was someone I knew well. She was the founder of the National Museum of Women in the Arts. I knew her very well because she was on the board of the Corcoran when I was the chief curator. And she had this collection of female arts, but I just thought I somehow never thought that it was empowering or respectful of women to sort of silo us as a gender. I've never really, but as I'm older, I now kind of see the logic in it. I see not the necessity for it, but the reasonableness of.
Right, because I think all along we're waiting for attention to be brought to female artists, and if it's not happening, somebody's got to step forward.
That's true.
What excites you about the art world now?
Well, our boundaries have fallen away. Art that's accepted and taken seriously is much more likely now to be outside of the big cities.
So you're seeing more regional communities?
Very much so. A lot's going on in towns and cities all over the country. And cities that we don't just think of automatically as being on the map. And the high artists are gathering in these places. So cities all over the country now have very interesting art communities.
This show there's a focus on material and process, the work of the hands. Would you say that there's a resurgence or a revival of the handmade in work?
I think our interest has sort of been taken up by AI and what's going to be happening on the sort of conceptual and non-craft part of it, that I think maybe there's sort of creeping up a lot of really wonderful artists who are maybe unconsciously or consciously are sort of rejecting that for a while anyway and getting back to craft. One thing that I'm just seeing all over the place now for the first time just in the last year or so is artists who are returning to old-fashioned photography and old-fashioned cameras. So that's sort of an interesting thing.
That must excite you a bit because you actually produced or curated one of Sally Mann's first.
Yeah, I got very involved with photography in the mid-'70s when nobody in Washington, D.C. was collecting or showing, taking photography seriously in art form. So I sort of put the Corcoran in the forefront there for a while, and that was very helpful for their kind of sense of identity. Again, I'm just looking at work right now which is combining ceramic and knitting and sewing. Those things are very feminine. More women artists deal with old-fashioned craft than men tend to. I just think that's a fact. Am I wrong? Is that too much of a generalization?
Well, like there's muscular artists like Purrier, right? Like that's very material driven. There's some elements, but it's very muscular.
The men tend to go with, cold roll steel, huge, heavy, industrial sort of.
I wonder if this is also a function of space and time. So you're talking about women that traditionally have had families. And so what can you do at your kitchen table?
Of course.
Or in a spare room. I mean, that's kind of the practicality.
And speaking of space and time, I think that the men who just use sort of whatever is at hand and work with their hands and make crafty things tend to be men or women who are isolated and untrained. I did an exhibition called Black Folk Art in America in 1982, which was African Americans all over the South who didn't know other artists, didn't know each other in a very isolated way, and they just made incredible art. And Black Folk Art in America really sort of reintroduced into the whole world of high art these kinds of artists. So
kind of like the G's Bin
yes,
quilts.
Exactly. That led to the G's Bin quilt show. That exhibition did, and I also did the G's Bin quilt show for the Whitney. So that was exciting,
So see, you know all about this. I'm feeling a resurgence, a kind of nostalgia. I mean, I have an 18-year-old son who's totally into vinyl and cassettes, and I know that's not news that younger people are embracing older technology, but I do feel it. I feel a nostalgia.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah.
There's so much that's lost that we yearn to have back. I mean, I think it's a time for nostalgia just everywhere. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, the good news is that art can always transcend. I mean, it's always going to be a reflection of the times.
That's right.
Regardless of if there's instability or uncertainty in this fluctuating art world. Nonetheless, like we have art.
That's right. Thank God. Thank God.
Thank God.
Thank you.
We are going to have a great time
Next Sunday, that's May 31st. It's going to be here. We're having an artist talk / panel discussion. Jane will be moderating. We'll have 5 artists. We've got myself, we've got Jody Mussoff, we've got Alexandra in Sherman, we've got Akemi Maegawa, and Keith Patterson. We got one guy. We'll be here 1 o'clock next Sunday, May 31st. We'll have seating, and you're welcome. All are welcome. It's free here. This is an opportunity for anyone to come in these doors, learn about art, experience art. So we look forward to seeing you next Sunday at 1 o'clock at Melissa Ichiuji Studio Gallery in Front Royal in the Shenandoah Valley. So this is the new art mecca.
This is.
Thank you so much, Jane. We should have a podcast.
Sure. I tried it for a few times. Why not?
Why not?
It's fun to talk about this stuff.